Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and now you're all having a great day. There's actually a lot to cover, so I'm going to hop right into it. To start off, a month after authorities in Quebec lifted a moratorium on allowing Bitcoin miners, local businesses have begun threatening to leave, suspecting unfair policies. In a series of tweets on June 28th, Decentral founder Jonathan Bertrand claimed that due to conflicting interests and agendas at the government level, as well as an intense lobbying effort from the world's largest mining corporation, Bitcoin, that a number of participants had been left completely stunned. He said, "I'm a Quebecer and I want to develop and participate in my local economy, but it's getting harder and harder, and it seems to me that only the rational choice is to look elsewhere." He said, "I'm very saddened by these developments because we've passed the 12 last months building this ecosystem in Quebec and planned on so much more for the province." I'm not going to read his tweet. Quebec, where low-cost hydroelectricity creates good conditions for large-scale Bitcoin mining businesses, is at a large center of conflict over the practice, which has heated up through 2018. The national energy provider Hydro-Quebec had at first appeared welcoming towards miners, but in February began a U-turn on its position, warning it would not have enough capacity to service the number of applicants being received. Political pressure boiled over, Premier saying the province was not really interested in miners setting up to save money before the moratorium on electricity sales that then came into force. Now, news from Hydro-Quebec may offer power to miners according to its own internal rules has alarmed local operations like Bertrand, who described such rules as arbitrary and likely to give preference to the loudest bidder, possibly Bitmain. He said, if we do not have developments by the end of July, I have no other choice than to move myself and close Decentral to open it elsewhere. I remember reading news on, there's so much news that ends up happening in the cryptocurrency space. I tried to give you guys the most relevant, and a lot of it doesn't seem as relevant when I read it once, but a couple months later, it ends up coming back up again. I remember reading the entire Canada thing. There were a lot of mining companies who were trying to move around Northern Illinois, if I'm not mistaken, Northern New York, like near Niagara Falls. They're trying to get tons of hydroelectricity, and the same exact thing was happening in Canada, the same way that it's happening in Iceland or Greenland. I'm pretty sure it's Iceland. People are trying to get the cheapest power possible in order to be able to mine cryptocurrencies, specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum. But what's ended up happening is that a lot of them realize now, the governments that there's a lot of money to be made in all of this. And part of the problem is, like I told you guys before, this is going to become a major problem. And I don't think enough people are talking about it. I think people are kind of whispering about it. But I think in the cryptocurrency space, a lot of people think that these things will smooth themselves over, and they're not going to. I told you guys, I believe a day or two ago, when we had more news already from Bitmain, that I'm pretty certain that there already articles completely about this. I'm pretty sure that within the next, if not 9 months, then by next summer, Bitmain will actually officially control at least 50.1% of the Bitcoin network. They will be the dominant mining pool and or pools that end up controlling Bitcoin. Like I said, no one's really talking about this. I'm not sure if it's just not fear from people on, Bitcoin is constantly heralded as this major coin that, can't be taken over. This can't happen to it. It's trustless, permissionless. It can do, you've all heard the story, how it goes before. But the problem is that the more money that Bitmain makes from their mining pools, the more mining equipment that they're actually buying, and they can accelerate this a lot quicker than other companies because they're making billions off of this every single year. And now they even have the money that they're able to talk to governments and kind of sway them to push other miners out to say that they should be able to be the only ones who are actually mining instead of all the other smaller miners, which is I don't know what they're planning. I don't know if the entire point is just domination of the Bitcoin network. A lot of people in the comment section below and in forums and in other places that I've read have said that they don't think that Bitmain will gain 51% control just to destroy the network. No one knows what they're planning, exactly what they're doing. It doesn't seem monetarily incentive for them to control the entire Bitcoin network and then to destroy it. but we don't know what else they control and if they may have a part in some other coin. They may have a huge stake in 49 other coins, and their main goal may be to spend a couple billion to destroy Bitcoin. I mean, this is obviously all speculation. I'm not going to get into a company talking about destroying Bitcoin, but you have to wonder what their motives are. Why would you get into a coin whose purpose is to be spread out amongst all people, the entire world, just to they know that they're close to 51%. They have computers. They look at the diagnostics and they see exactly where this is going. But this has been happening in a number of other countries as well. There were whispers about this a couple of months ago that Bitmain was actually using their influence to not push other miners out, but to make sure that they got the land that they needed. So other miners were completely allowed to mine and do what they wanted, but they couldn't do it in the best spots or where people were getting either the best solar energy or the best hydroelectric energy. So this is going to continue coming up, and the fact that this is now major news is only going to be more of an issue. Even further on this, Bitmain is now one of the 21 entities on the network that are verifying transactions. Controversial cryptocurrency company Bitmain has become one of the 21 entities processing transactions on the EOS network. The China-based firm, best known for producing cryptocurrency mining hardware and supporting a big block approach to Bitcoin scaling, on Tuesday received a sufficient number of votes to become an active EOS block producer, which allows it to receive compensation for processing transactions and enforcing the network's constitution. I'm not going to read the thing from Twitter. Bitmain's block producer candidate, EOS Antpool, is, as the name suggests, run by Antpool, one of Bitmain's two large mining pool subsidiaries, the other being BTC.com. Bitmain also led a $3 million funding round for Via BTC, which operates a moderately sized mining pool, in 2017. Collectively, these three pools account for more than 50% of Bitcoin blocks mined over the past 7 days. And this level of centralization is one reason that Bitmain has become a flashpoint in many cryptocurrency circles. So part of the thing was with Bitmain is that we were trying to figure out for a while, we're not stupid. If you own this one and this one, possibly you own some of the other chunks of the pie. And the fact that they have gotten this far and that none of the major Bitcoin players, I know that we don't have many faces in the Bitcoin community. This is why I didn't add it in this video because it seemed completely irrelevant at this point. There's another person who has opened up another lawsuit against Ripple specifically, saying that they're running another never-ending ICO, and he's claiming that the entire market went down, as in the market from January to now, saying that it was Ripple's fault and that it's Ripple's fault that he lost money. This can only happen because there's a face to the company that owns the coin. No one really knows the faces of the people behind Bitcoin, because you better believe if more people did their research and realized who's actually controlling Bitcoin or who controls the mining pools, their faces are out there. They're also in other major companies that I've spoken about before. We would definitely see the same number of lawsuits that are happening. I think there are also lawsuits against Ethereum as well, because Vitalik is the face of the project. But the fact that this is actually happening now and no one's really talking about it, because this kind of debunks what Bitcoin is. You can't say that this entity that can't be destroyed by anyone is actually being controlled by just one company. It kind of destroys the trust in it. But the fact that they are now also a one of the verifiers on the EOS network, this is I'll read a bit more, and it's not as bad as it seems, but it's still Bitmain. So there's significant debate about the degree to which pooled hash power translates into actual control of the Bitcoin mining landscape, though the fact that pool users must construct block headers using templates provided by the pool operators has led one core developer to propose replacing Stratum with an upgraded mining protocol, and others to call for a radical change to Bitcoin's proof of work consensus algorithm. I don't think Bitcoin is ever going to change. Bitcoin is just money now. Whether you know it or not, Bitcoin is this entity that is just about money. If Bitcoin ever changes to proof of stake, I shocked isn't even the word, because there's so much lobbying against it. You may not think that there's crypto lobbying, but you would be 1000% mistaken. Crypto is kind of controlled by money. We were talking about that before when it came down to what is it called? When they were trying to decide if Ethereum was a security or not. It was said multiple times that Ethereum was a security, but the people behind Ethereum actually had multiple lawyers who were actually talking to people in the SEC, and somehow they convinced them that their ICO wasn't applicable anymore, and that even though the way that Ethereum is run now, that is no longer security. This is happening with a number of other coins as well. Do not be mistaken. Bitcoin is just about money. When it comes down to its core, think about it. The entire thing is controlled more than 50% by one company. When you think about the people who are actually into Bitcoin and what they do, and the people who are talking about it on the news, these people control a huge portion of the Bitcoin pie. They're not talking about the power and awesomeness and safety of Bitcoin simply because they like having numbers on their screen. They're doing this because there is a huge monetary incentive. In any case, Bitmain is far from having this degree of influence in the EOS ecosystem. However, EOS itself has been criticized for its current level of centralization. Aside from the fact that the network is structured to divide transaction processing between 21 entities, voting itself could become heavily centralized once EOS creator Block One begins participating in block producer elections in the near future. The firm, in addition to raising more than $4 billion during the project's token sale, received 100 million of the 1 billion tokens created in the cryptocurrency's Genesis block. So I've read this as well before. This was in the news about a day or two ago. And I realize now that I actually have to cover as much of the news that I can, because there's so much misinformation. And when I don't talk about things, I realize that people in the comment section end up confused. People say that I'm not doing my due diligence by talking about what's in the news, and that people talk about that I'm trying to manipulate the market myself by what I put in my videos. I assume that other people have Googled or found the information themselves, but I'm going to try and squeeze as much as I can into every single video to let you guys exactly know at least what I know, what's happening in the cryptocurrency space. So Block One has announced that they actually are going to start staking a number of their coins into the EOS systems that will allow them to vote for block producers. This is happening for a number of reasons. This is happening because a lot of the block producers who are actually in the system right now, a lot of people do not trust them. They were voted because they kind of got the last drips of the faucet and ended up being the 21 producers. There are a lot of people who are unhappy with at least 5 of them that are actually in there. So Block One is attempting to put noteworthy producers into the 21 pie, and they're not doing this. There may be some monetary incentive, like I said, don't be mistaken, but it's happening because they don't want this entire thing to be destroyed. If you have 5 weak links in the chain, that kind of ruins the entire chain. When it comes to them, so there's I believe, there's 1 billion EOS tokens, and they were given or gave themselves 100 million of the billion that are around. They cannot put all 100 million into the entire staking pool at the exact same time. It is kind of the same how Ripple has a large amount of XRP. It goes into that, 1 month escrow. Every 1 month they are allocated, I believe, 1 billion XRP, and any XRP that's left back over, it gets put into another escrow account that then lasts for another 5 years. And then that 5 years later, they're allowed to touch that again. Keeps circling for 5 years. With Block One, this happens every year. So they're actually given, if I'm not mistaken, this is what I've read and this is what I've seen and this is what I've heard on EOS podcast, is that they're actually only given 10%. So if they own 10% of the network or 10% of the coins, they're actually only allowed to use 1% of the coins every year. 1% is released to them, and they're not going exclusively to voting for the validators on the network. They're also going to apps as well. There's a reason why they raised $4 billion. It's just not to line their pockets. They would have been completely gone by now and not in the picture anymore. They're using this to make sure that the EOS ecosystem continues to thrive. They're using it to create apps. They're using it to create other companies who can find other use cases for EOS, and also who will be creating apps and websites and other things that can be then put onto the website. It's just not them controlling 100 million coins. They're going to exclusively vote for 21 people on the network so that they control exactly who's doing it. No, they're planning on also, their EOS is actively, or rather Block One is trying to actively help other people to create the next Facebook, the next Instagram, the next Twitter, all on top of blockchain so that we have these decentralized platforms. I know a lot of people don't care for EOS. A lot of people don't care for Ripple. A lot of people don't care for a lot of projects. But when you actually read into what they're doing, some things can be nefarious and evil in their ways. But you have to read a bit deeper. You have to see exactly what these companies are about. It would be foolish of them to create a multi-billion-dollar company and or blockchain only to destroy it to line their pockets. These are, don't forget, these are potentially trillion-dollar blockchains that we are going to be having sometime within the next 5 or 10 years. It doesn't make sense that they would just run away with 4 billion when they could potentially get another 996 billion. Whatever the case might be, this is the news for Bitmain today. There's a lot of talk about this. If anything will be able to be done, I do not think so. The fact that they are a fragment of the EOS validators, whatever, if you have enough money to buy enough EOS, you can potentially also vote your way in some way. When it comes to the Bitcoin network and them controlling over 50%, I don't think anything will be able to stop that. They have become incredibly powerful. And at this point, it may just be a matter of people not talking up against the digital overlords. And that's kind of all there really is to say about this, because not much can be done. Not to be all doomy and gloomy, but you guys kind of get what I'm saying. Bitmain is only going to get a lot more powerful as time goes on, because I actually wonder how many Bitcoin they own. I've thought about that for quite some time. I'm going to see if I can find some information about that, because I have a feeling it's a relatively large amount that no one is actually expecting. Next up, there's a lot of mini coin news. I'm going to try and skim through it as quickly as possible. Independent Reserve Australia, first regulated cryptocurrency exchange, will add support for Ripple's XRP token this week. Sydney-based cryptocurrency exchange Independent Reserve is reportedly enabling support for XRP, the world's third largest cryptocurrency by market cap after Bitcoin and Ethereum. With launch of trading on July 7th, I believe that is 2 days away, the exchange is offering trading to both retail investors through its exchange and institutional clients via over-the-counter trading. The exchange currently offers fiat trading pairs between the US dollar, the Australian dollar, and the New Zealand dollar, and Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. In statements, Independent Reserve Chief Executive Adrian Prislansny explained his reasons for adding Ripple to the exchange, or XRP to the exchange. He said, there's a wide universe of digital currencies out there right now, but to be listed on Independent Reserve, they need to meet a range of criteria, including liquidity, stability, and volume metrics. Our clientele has been requesting XRP, and we felt this timing was right to offer it to them. So very good on them adding another coin. I think a lot of exchanges are, because the market has slid back to where it is right now, the liquidity just is not there on a number of projects. As of now, it's literally only Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that's mainly because a lot of coins have to pass through them. You may have noticed a lot of times there's even more volume on Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash than just about every other coin, even though Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin aren't necessarily used as much. It's because these are the only trading pairs that are also flowing through every other coin. So if a lot of people don't feel like dealing with Bitcoin, they will then buy Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash instead. So it's nice. I mean, you guys know how I feel about XRP, but I really feel at this point that if not the top 10, the top 20 coins should all have some type of presence on an exchange and or fiat pairing to it, because the market won't move forward if everyone is just focusing on Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash. The market has to move forward, and it's exchanges that have to kind of take the first step. So Ethereum is in the news. There was news about a day or two ago that the network was extremely clogged. Depending on which website you went on, the Bitcoin-focused websites were talking about how Ethereum was inferior and just wasn't doing what it had to do. If you watched or read from websites that boasted about EOS or Tron, they kept on talking about how superior EOS or Tron were in comparison to Ethereum because of the network clog. I'm going to read you a little bit about what's been going on. So it says, you may have noticed something recently. Transactions on the Ethereum network have been oddly expensive. My Crypto has chalked up this suspicious rise in transaction fees to a good-for-nothing exchange, essentially incentivizing its users to push out thousands of transactions onto the Ethereum network. Over the past few days, Ethereum has been seeing an abnormal increase in the cost of transactions. According to Etherscan, miners have been collecting an average of 10 times more fees over the past 5 days in comparison with days of normal network activity. Gas prices, which normally sit around 5 GVI, I've never known how to pronounce that, rose to as high as 50 as users of the Ethereum network desperately tried to bring their transactions to the front of the pending transaction line. As a result, the average Ethereum transaction fee quickly rose from 2 cents to around $3.50 within a matter, that's 20 cents to $3.50 within a matter of a short 48 hours, according to BitInfo. You can see the spike right here for those who are actually not just listening and looking at the screen. It's a dramatic spike in the amount of gas, I believe that it is. This abnormal increase came seemingly out of nowhere, with many users seeming confused about the source of their high fees. As users begin to investigate this unprecedented rise in fees, they begin to realize that this was an abnormal influx of ERC20 tokens being transferred to a relatively unknown exchange called Fcoin. My Crypto, founded by the creator of a similarly named wallet service, My Ether Wallet, took to Twitter to criticize the business practices of the aforementioned exchange. The 8-part Twitter rant that I'm not going to read ripped apart the practices which Fcoin was enlisting. My Crypto wrote, "As we've been looking into the recent network congestion, high gas prices, one of the more interesting things to come to light involves a random exchange who will not be named as this time as part of their PR strategy, further addressing what exactly dubious actions Fcoin was taking part in, or a different part of the Twitter thread. I'm not going to read through all of this. It's a bit of a rant. The accused exchange, Fcoin, incentivized users to deposit tokens onto the exchange as a mind-numbingly despicable voting method of voting, essentially allowing for users to issue hundreds, if not thousands, of deposits for a variety of different tokens, most of which are ERC20 tokens. These accusations don't come without evidence, with blockchain data from the Gas Guzzlers section of the Etherscan showing a clear correlation between the top voted tokens on Fcoin and the Gas Guzzlers. To address increased fees, Binance has temporarily increased gas prices on Ethereum and ERC20 tokens withdrawals until fees remain to a stable figure. The increased gas prices will be coming out of Binance's pocket, ensuring that customers experience a consistent level of service even through a network clock. This is why I love Binance. But on the, I don't talk about crypto politics a lot, but I told you guys this before. When EOS was launching, the reason why it took so long, if you dig deeper, especially if you were really into the EOS community, there are a lot of people who were trying to destroy the EOS network. The moment they were trying to build the chain, people were trying to tear it apart. Ethereum is a very established chain, but there's still ways to kind of knock it down. This was also happening when we had CryptoKitties. A lot of people were saying, "Oh wow, it can't even." How sad this is that the strong blockchain like Ethereum can't actually handle CryptoKitties. If you were looking at the transactions, people were making sure to buy cats that literally cost almost nothing, and they were buying multiple at the exact same time. And what happens is you can easily congest these networks. This is why Plasma and Casper and all these other things are so important to the Ethereum network, because it is very easy. If you can easily incentivize other people to kind of clog and or halt an entire blockchain. The same thing has happened last summer for Bitcoin as well, for those who were here in the community. We had a big problem last summer with Bitcoin. We had a problem where there were around, I think, 220,000 transactions were backed up on the Bitcoin network, and no one was able to figure out why. A lot of people were spamming, transactions through the Bitcoin network that were only worth around 1 cent. So normally where you would send your friend $15, $25, 100 euros, however much you're sending your friend or family or whatever you're sending it to, people were just sending 1 cent, and they were sending this over and over and over through bots coordinatedly. And it got to the point where there were so many transactions you could actually look through. There's like a thing on the Block Explorer website, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what it's called. And you can actually see all the transactions that are popping through the network, and sometimes you can see they're happening very rapidly. You can see it's like actually quicker than how I talk. it almost looks like a wave of transactions just flowing through, but you can actually see sometimes the amount that is actually being sent through. And it was only 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cent, 1 cent over and over and over. So they were clogging the network on purpose. And this seems to be the exact same reason why they're doing this. I wish that there was more unity in the cryptocurrency space. I don't think that that's actually ever going to happen. I think we have gotten to the point where crypto are kind of like stocks, in that you are literally owning a coin that was made by a company, or an entity, or someone named Satoshi Nakamoto, whatever you want to call it. And same thing kind of happens with companies as well. Companies try to push other people or other companies under their foot to try and make their company be worth more. Ethereum has a lot of competition right now. A lot of people who are trying to gun for its number one spot. So them collectively, I'm going to say, I'm not going to name any names, trying to band together to especially through a Chinese exchange, it's kind of obvious, especially when you're sending tiny transactions to try and clog up the network. It kind of makes a lot of sense. Vitalik actually spoke about this as well. Yeah, waiting for that to load. At the current state, Ethereum and Bitcoin give buyers the opportunity to choose the prices that they are able to afford. The prices also include the fee, making it easier for buyers to ultimately choose a rate that they are comfortable with. The trouble with this method, though, is that there is no motivation to post fees higher than the average rate, which may mean that transactions do not always go through, as Buterin states. He said, and I do quote, "If you value a transaction getting included right now at $1, you would be willing to bid anything up to $1. But if everyone else is bidding 5 cents, then you could keep more money by bidding 8 cents instead," end quote. Accordingly, fee volatility ensures for Ethereum, which features thousands of dApps running on it. The apps require transactions be processed, and with the fee, volatility can increase. To overcome the aforementioned volatility, Buterin issued a proposal. In a Twitter post, he stated, "One proposal for improving stability and user-friendliness of gas price markets is to allow users to bid a price that they are willing to pay to have the transaction included. This type of approach allows for the lowest fee the miners accommodates to be applied for everyone. This is still a problem. This is not an actual solution. In order to make cryptocurrency actually something that people want to use on a daily basis, you cannot tell people to put in their own fees. The fees have to be there already. Normal everyday people are not going to want to open up their cryptocurrency wallet and then actually add in how much gas that they're trying to send. This was actually a very big issue for the older Bitcoin wallets around 2012, 13, 14. If you were not using, what's it called? Exodus, and you were actually using the old Bitcoin wallet, I don't know if you guys remember, it was like this gray slab that like went onto your screen and you had to download the entire blockchain as you were doing it. It was tedious, it was horrible, and when you were sending transactions, you were actually able to enter the amount of fees that you wanted to send. And the problem is that if you did not manually constantly update your wallet, so 1 week your wallet would have an automatic fee of around 2 or 3 cents, US dollars. And you would click send and you would wonder why your transaction hadn't gone through in about 3 days. And then if you hadn't upgraded your wallet, the new wallet would actually have the automatic new number that you had to have for your fee, and it would be around 48 cents. So you would be wondering why your transaction wasn't actually going through. And then it got to a point where you actually you were able to enter your own fee. And I remember sometimes I would just add in $2 just to have my Bitcoin transactions be able to be sent as quick as possible. And this is kind of, I don't know. I think there's a lot of smoothing out that needs to be done for a lot of these coins. They're able to be manipulated incredibly easily, and this is going to cause a major problem for the entire cryptocurrency space. Simply because it will then become a power struggle between proof of work and proof of stake coins, where proof of work, we know that there's a bit of they have problems. And if you can pretty much spam their network and then create an update or have really good news for your coin, I don't know. It just crypto politics are really, really crazy. If you like your life and don't like stress, I would completely stay away from them. Having this channel, I'm just going to tell you guys, I'm completely very deep into crypto politics right now, as I have to be. I have to read through everything and I have to see exactly what's going on in the cryptocurrency space. It's not nice. People are very mean to each other. Not even just what people say in the comment section below. Yes, I do see what you're saying to each other. All of this going on, everyone's really gunning for the number one spot. Everyone is trying their darndest to get Bitcoin out of where it is right now, and they're using any kind of tactic that they can. So, Malta is in the news today. Malta is making quick progress in establishing itself as the world's friendliest jurisdiction for cryptocurrency firms. In a press conference yesterday, Malta's Prime Minister Joseph Muscat confirmed that the parliament will favor and approve 3 cryptocurrency bills designed to embrace the blockchain sector. The Mediterranean islands nation I've been reading a lot. My brain is kind of scrambled right now. Prime Minister revealed the bills will pass the third and final reading on Wednesday's evening session to become law. Speaking exclusively to CCN, the Parliamentary Secretary for Digital Innovation and Finance, Silvio Scrembi, stated, and I do quote, "This is the last stage of the legislation that will put Malta on the international map for blockchain and crypto regulation. There is political consensus on this roadmap, and we are foreseeing that this area will be the mainstay of our economic growth for the next 4 to 5 years," end quote. Today's final reading comes a week after the Maltese Parliament passed the second reading of 3 bills that covers the regulations of ICOs, guidelines for cryptocurrency exchange operations, looking to establish a presence in Malta, and the broader regulation of the cryptocurrency and blockchain sector. I'm still going to say what I said before. I think a lot of countries will come out ahead, and these are the countries who are making sure that they are doing all these things first. There's so many other countries, I don't understand why they are not even just taking their time. They're doing everything in their power to slow down innovation. And a lot of these are countries that actually need the money. Not to say that Malta needs the money. I mean, like other countries who I've read about before who are banning cryptocurrencies are making sure that their people living in their countries don't have access to it. You don't have access to ICOs. This can help an economy so much, especially if blockchain and cryptocurrencies actually become what so many people are predicting that they will become over the next 10 years. Makes you wonder, why some countries are opening their arms to this because they see the future, and why other countries just really don't care about their citizens, and they're kind of taking their time when it comes to regulations. I understand, trying to figure out the balance for your country, but I'm still predicting, so far, all the countries that are relatively open to crypto regulation and passing relatively nice crypto bills have been warm countries. So in the next 5 to 10 years, we all may be moving to relatively very warm countries, because these will be the only places that will have the greatest cryptocurrency acceptance and bills on their side. But not to spend too much time on Malta, but very good that we have this news from them. The last are just kind of integrations that are happening. One second. The cryptocurrency exchange platform BitBay on July 3rd tweeted that 2 well-known coins, Monero and ZCash, are now available for trading on BitBay. The newly listed coin pairs are Monero to Bitcoin, Monero to PLN, Monero to Euro, Monero to US dollar, ZCash to Bitcoin, Zcash to, I have no idea what PLN is, Zcash to Euro, and Zcash to the US dollar. BitBay came into being in the year 2014 and was created to provide a professional Bitcoin and Litecoin trading platform in the Polish market. That makes a lot of sense. The company launched their second version in 2015, where they added more professional tools for a user-friendly trading experience. The exchange also added cryptocurrencies like Lisk and Ethereum to the list. So that's great for them. And on the same exact note, there is more news about the cryptocurrency integration. Cess Van Dam, one of Verge's core team members, recently tweeted that Verge, Zcash, Dash are now added to WooCommerce, WordPress, and easy digital downloads. This is done through My Crypto Checkout, a crypto gateway that supports users to receive cryptocurrency payment directly into their wallet. Dam tweeted, and I do quote, "Looking for a way to enable a cryptocurrency payment gateway for WordPress, WooCommerce, and easy digital downloads. Just added XVG Verge to enable this. Plugins can be found at that website that he listed there," end quote. My Crypto Checkout has already added Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, Dash, Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, Litecoin, and many more. Crypto Checkout incorporates features like 0 transaction fees, no restrictions. Any wallet is supported, peer-to-peer transactions, no middleman fees, QR code for wallet address. This is not me supporting and or using them. I'm not being paid by these people. I'm just reading through the article. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, there was a lot to cover today, and this actually isn't even all the news. I think we have a midweek news bump typically around the end of the week. We typically, Saturdays and Sundays, we have almost no news. Mondays, we kind of have a couple news stories, but somewhere towards the middle of the week, I don't know if it's just a lot of controversial things have been happening, but this is kind of where the cryptocurrency space is right now. I'm exhausted. I hope you guys have a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Thank you once again for watching. Thank you once again for all the support. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you all soon. See you.